Hello and welcome to Refiner's Fire with young Catholic professionals here, where we talk about all things faith and work and how God is refining us through that. My name is Peter Blute. I am the executive director here at YCP, as we call it, and I am thrilled to be with you and to have our special guest on today. So Will Hickl, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, glad to have you here. So take us back a little bit. How did you first hear about YCP? Where were you at in those somewhat earlier years when you heard about this apostolate and we're getting into the working world?
Yeah, a cool decade or more than that ago. I think it was 2014. Whenever you guys launched the Houston chapter, that's when I think.
I think that was 14.
Yeah, whether it was Facebook or Instagram or whatever, the word got out. I found out about it, and was part of that like massive group of like 200 people that showed up.
That was amazing.
With Cardinal DiNardo. Yeah. And I was blown away. And in fact, it was really awesome that because I had just graduated in 2012, and I actually had this thought like a year or so after graduating, like, man, it's really cool. You grow up, you're a teen, you get youth ministry, go to college, campus ministry, great, and then out and a fresh young person out of school, and I'm like, well, what's next? And of course, and young adult groups were starting to crop up a bit, like that was starting to happen at parishes. But when YCP came about, I mean, that for me I was just so excited. I'm like, this is what's next. And the YCP chapter in Houston launched, and I was at every single executive speaker series. Went to the gala, I think in 2016. Just made a lot of great friends and connections through that, and just grew a lot. First time I ever heard Jeff Scheffelbein speak was at a YCP just executive series, and that blew me away, and there are a bunch of other great speakers. So I think it was definitely an answered prayer because, I was blessed to be formed well as a teen and a college student, and was just hungry for more. And you guys popped up at the perfect time to just keep diving
awesome.
in. Yeah.
So what do you think it was about what YCP was offering you at that particular stage that you think was most impactful or most meaningful for you?
I would say just the fact that there were people that could send the elevator down, like older folks who had the experience and were willing to lead by example of, hey, some of these folks are CEOs or founders of big companies or just really successful people that were 10, 20, 30 years older that were willing to boldly say, hey, to some degree in my workplace, I pray the Angelus at noon no matter what's going on, or I make time for my family because that's what we should do as faithful Catholics, or just things that maybe the average person doesn't experience. Like my father's a wonderful man, he worked a lot, and we're really grateful for that. But to see other people that work a lot and who are actively trying to model like a deep desire for their faith and let that kind of permeate was just a good example. And again, not trying to knock my dad. I think anyone listening probably say, yeah, that's probably my dad too, just a generational difference. But yeah, just having the ability to receive more mentorship. I think that's the punchline here, is like you kind of have this built-in mentorship through the executive speaker series or through Belong itself, and I think myself, and I'm sure lots of people listening, are just always craving, how can I learn more? How can I improve, and who can I look to as a model for that? And I mean, the most successful people in any field, business, arts, etc., they all have someone that was journeying with them, mentoring them. Even the Beatles have, oh man, the name is blanking me, but there's a guy who they call the fifth Beatle, the guy who was their big producer and was always in the studio and helping them out, right? Like, so, right. And I think Coldplay too has the same. There's like a fifth member of Coldplay that no one knows, but he's like the guy that helped mentor them and like, all those things. So you have people.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I think that's it. Is you get to learn from people that have done it and that are doing it, and you have something to look forward to.
Yeah, that role of a role model, a mentor is so important. I mean, you brought up Jeff Scheffelbein. We're here in the Beatitudes studio recording, which they're very generous to share with us, which you should check out their podcast, by the way, if you haven't, the Beatitudes. We've both been on it. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, the role model is so important in our life to show us the ropes. And I think about, something really, at least to me, was really profound that I learned from Jeff. He was the first person that I had heard order how he ordered his life with his relationship with God, which of course you hear, right? I'd heard that one before. And then he talked about his relationship with his spouse, before his relationship with his kids, and then his work, right? And then everything else beyond that. But that concept of your relationship with your spouse as the primary focus for the family, because everything flows from that, and then the relationship with your kids, that ordering I'd never heard before. And at the time when I heard that, I wasn't married, I didn't have kids, right? But that stuck with me.
Sure.
But that single piece of advice has had a profound impact on entering into marriage and now having, a couple of kids, one on the way. But like that role of a single piece of advice that changes the way you think about an important role, perhaps the most important role that I have, which is being a spouse and a father. It's hard to just learn that stuff on your own, right? Or professional advice or just guidance from a friend. It's so important.
Yeah. But even if you had read that somewhere, it's different too when there's like a person there live at the event with a like-minded, like, this guy is a Catholic professional. I want to be a Catholic professional. And now I'm hearing the setup for that wisdom permeates even harder, I guess, better, because
more deeply, exactly.
Because of the context. So,
because there's a base, there's a foundation that we're both striving towards.
Yeah.
Right? We're trying to get to heaven. We're trying to live out our life. We're trying to sanctify the world.
Yeah.
And learning from one another.
Yeah. Yeah. You share value and there's trust there.
There's a lot of trust.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great.
All great things for YCP.
Yeah.
YCP.com/belong. I don't know what the URL is, but whatever it is, we encourage that.
.com or .org, you can find us. Young Catholic Professionals.
Google belong. Yeah, it's great. It's great.
Yeah. So, all right. So you're participating in YCP. You're starting your career. You're moving into the corporate space.
Yeah.
All right. So take us through what was that next phase? What was that next defining moment for you in your professional life, and then maybe your spiritual life as well?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anything, there hasn't necessarily been something, at least in my journey, nothing super profound, but I just think it's just like, working out or eating well. It's just staying consistent with going to YCP events, volunteering at my parish. I mean, it's important also to plug into your community, another plug for wherever you are. But staying grounded in community, getting my touch points with the YCP, I just think it was just a great way, to your point about Jeff's advice, forming you as a future husband and future father. The same kind of thing, I guess, like just getting hit with those waves of like wisdom and spiritual guidance through YCP and other things. I just think it was just a slow kind of gradual, hey, I'm being formed well, I'm learning good things. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really have any like crazy stories other than I just stuck with it and applied myself and strived really. And I would say I think that helped. That just helped me live a more integrated life at work. So in the corporate, in all my corporate jobs, I have had been able to make good relationships at work where you find out eventually, you're a Christian too, or better yet, you're Catholic too. And in fact, when I was at PwC, there were some associates that I worked with, and one of them, I don't even know how we found out, but the other one of them was like, I'm going to this thing tonight, like this young Catholic professional thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, me too. And so, so then we could share that faith kind of at work. That's and awesome. Talk about it. So
I think she's on the board for the Dallas chapter now, Stacy.
That's not who.
Someone else. Well, there's other partners at PwC.
Well, this was when I was in Houston,
great.
so.
Oh, okay. It's cool. PwC has a lot of great Catholics.
Oh, good, good. I'm glad to hear it. But yeah, no. So I, nothing like big and bold. More just it's been great to meet other people at work and through YCP, like. understand like, okay, there is no shame, or okay, this is really, there's nothing wrong with being who you are. And I've never really struggled with that, but it was just a good invitation to, hey, just stay yourself. Don't hide,
It's kind of a confidence.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, we hear people often talk about, I came to YCP and I was maybe unsure. Like maybe I was even, some people are already practicing their faith well, or at least, building those habits.
Yeah.
Prayer life, etc.
Yeah.
But that confidence to be able to say to others,
yeah,
I'm Catholic, even if it may invite a less than welcomed response.
Yeah.
Right. I think that confidence is so important. And also I read once that for most of us, we're not going to have the Saul blinded by the light fall off the horse, right? We're not going to see the light of Christ like that, right? For most of us, it's like a sunrise.
Oh yeah, that's good.
And it's going to be gradual over time. A few of us are going to be struck with some profound moment where it's a 180-degree turn. But that gave me, I think, a little bit more confidence just to say, like, it's okay that every day I have to feel converted again in a small way, some slightly larger way, some small amount of progress, that it's not these big profound leaps forward in my relationship with Christ every day.
Yeah.
I don't know. What would you say? Is that kind of align with your experience?
Yeah, I don't know if anyone heard me, but as soon as you said sunrise, I go, because I think that's really profound. I think that's great.
Because you love sunrises?
I actually, I love sunsets more because I'm actually awake for those. But, well, I have kids, so I'm awake for both now. But, I think the gradual, I just think that's a good analogy for actually a lot of things, for faith, but even like, speaking about business, like trying to build a business too, like that's, you got to put, actually the analogy I use is more like Lego bricks, like one at a time, one a day. Like, it might seem just like as we're growing in our faith, you're right. It's not a profound thing every day, but you put in that work, or if anyone's trained for anything athletic, like a marathon or whatnot, it's like, you want to shave that time down. You got to run every single day, and it can be monotonous. It can be, a lot of things, but at the end of the day, the goal, right? Running the race, which is scriptural, it does require that daily commitment, and I think that's another great thing about YCP is there are good reminders between your email list and social media and whatnot, like just little encouragements that come to help remind any of us running the race as young professionals that, like, hey, we're here. Don't forget to keep going, and yeah, I mean, just like with anything in life, you just have to, every single day has to be a resolve of some sort to progress forward. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. So I want to get into the creative side of what you do. Right?
Yes.
We've talked a little bit about the corporate side, but I think as a segue, maybe you and I were talking right before the episode about how do we define the word professional, right? We are young Catholic professionals.
Yeah.
I think sometimes there's a tendency when people don't know YCP well or know the YCP member base well to think, well, I need to be wearing a suit. I need to go to an office building. I need to sit in front of a computer maybe, or something similar, right? The typical kind of white collar professions, right? So maybe you could share a little bit, like, how have you thought about that vocation? You're called to be a professional.
Yeah.
You have this corporate experience, and we can talk a little bit about that and kind of transition into the creative side of what you're doing as well.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, for me, professional is all about, regardless of office building or out in a field or, driving a truck or whatever, I think professionalism really just is, maybe you could call it a mindset, but really just I would say a resolve of, I'm going to apply, virtue and high level principles to the things that I do, right? So one of my primary creative outlets is music, and I try to walk with musicians all the time and help them grow in professionalism. Like, hey, show up on time, respond to that email, submit reimbursements for those receipts, right? Like, things like that. So, professional, I guess you want to be communicative, courteous, virtuous. You want to work hard. So I don't have a Webster in front of me, but yeah, I would just say for me, in applying it to the creative field, professional is maintaining that level of maturity, business acumen, good communication.
Yeah.
And that, again, you could run your own plumbing service, and you would probably want to be all of those things so that you succeed. You can build good relationships, or, if you're doing a trade, if you're not in an office building, I mean, you can still be very professional. And in fact, you will succeed by being professional, I believe. So
yeah, I hear sometimes that those in education, especially like grade school teachers, sometimes like, oh, am I a professional? Right? It's like, absolutely. Yes. Are you seeking to do your work well?
Yeah.
Right? Are you seeking, as we are, to do your work well because it's transcendent? Then it's beyond just the work itself that you're doing.
Yeah.
It's an offering to God. It's a prayer. It's all these opportunities to turn our work into something so much more, something more sanctifying. If you are seeking to do work well and to do it for something other than just the work and the paycheck, right?
Yeah.
Which are good things, then you are a professional.
I should have asked you the question. That's a better answer.
Well, I mean, we talked about St. Joseph.
St. Joseph, yeah.
Earlier, right?
Yeah, he wasn't in an office building with air conditioning and free snacks. He was
not
grueling it out in his carpentry.
Nitro coffee on top.
Oh man, what a life. No, but even, and we were talking about the fact that his job required professionalism, business acumen, following up on, hey, like, you owe me this, or making sure that he delivers high quality, good customer service, like all those things he definitely had.
He's running a business.
Business.
Yeah.
And also
customer service.
Yeah. Also needing to be creative. I said the joke earlier of like, if he made tables that looked like IKEA, I don't know if he'd sell that many, but like,
you'd have to have a lot of scale. Right.
That's true.
That's what
he's got the patent on flat packing. He's like, guys, I got something new for you. You assemble it yourself. No, but St. Joseph, like, I'm sure he had beautiful designs, and I'm sure people probably loved the fingerprint he put on his work. And that's the beauty. I mean, teachers, you talk about teachers. I mean, I could list at least 2 or 3 that had profound impact on my life because they were good at what they did. They cared deeply. They poured themselves out. They made themselves available, So yeah, putting your fingerprint on something is a good thing in regards to A, it being unique, but then B, by you pouring yourself in, only you are you, right? And so God made you, and therefore you making yourself a gift, whether it is through a simple, I'm just banging out a spreadsheet of TPS reports, whatever the office space thing is, or grading a paper or whatever. I mean, there's just, you could go on, and go to an executive speaker series. You can find plenty of anecdotes there. But yeah, no, there's just a lot of importance to that for anyone, especially for creatives. I mean, I think a lot of creatives think they might be in the same boat. Like, I'm just a musician. Why should I go to YCP? And I would say because there is so much to learn about, again, pursuing the work you're doing in that virtuous, professional way. Not meaning like you're gonna, I think there might be the whole like, oh, like, I don't, I'm a musician. I'm not going to put a suit on, or I maybe like the corporate thing isn't me. And it's like, well, that's not what YCP is. It's just, you're young and you're Catholic and you're professional. Like, that can describe a painter or a novelist or a musician. And there's so much to learn about being better at doing what you're doing. Even if you're listening to an executive speaker series, about how someone built X, Y, and Z, I still think there's a way to there's plenty of takeaways from people's successes that can apply to any field, really.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I've found in the many years I've been involved in this apostolate that much of what the speakers share is not going to be industry specific, right?
True.
That's not really, I mean, we have some member exclusive events and workshops, and there are times in which we go really deeper in an industry. But most of it is about in the earliest stages of your career, what can you do to set yourself up for success?
Yeah.
To set yourself up to contribute to a team, to a company, to a project, and then how do we do that as Catholics, right? How does it become something more than just that, right? But that transcends the act of what you're actually doing, whether you're working on a technology or, working on a pipe.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I mean, it really does transcend it. So tell us a little bit. How did you get into music, the creative side? Is this a newer thing for you? Have you been doing this your entire life?
Yeah. I grew up in a house where music was always playing, so I just got inundated with it as a kid. No one in my family is a musician. I gravitated towards it. And in middle school, all 3 years I did orchestra, played violin. Was not that good. But then in high school, went into choir, and when I was in college, I had enough kind of music background and aptitude. I was able to teach myself the piano and started taking I declared a music minor just to take like the recording class and a few other things. And then as soon as I took the stuff I wanted, I dropped it. And But yeah, I was just so passionate about it. And so when I graduated, I heard the Lord's voice tell me to start a band. And then I laughed because I was like, I have not written anything good, so I'm going to need your help. And thankfully, long story short, he did help. I was able to write a few songs with some people, meet the right people. And basically, because of like my, again, business acumen and God's blessed me with a good left brain and right brain split, I started a publishing company just to administer and take care of this one album that we created. And what happens is one of the band members, after we're all done, he's like, hey, I have this friend. She does music. Maybe we could help her out. And I was like, well, literally just set everything up for this. So yeah, why not? So she became like our first signed artist. And again, I wasn't even setting out to do this. It just started kind of happening. And so I was applying, and I would say it's because I wanted to apply like excellence to what we were doing that we inadvertently created this label where people were like, oh, I want to be a part of that. And it's just like, and then people started finding us, we started finding them. And then it was like 5 years into this, I was like, we should actually like form this, like got an LLC, like actually did it. And so it's called Novum Records. Novum's Latin for new, very inspired by the new evangelization. And so we've just kind of expanded into like multiple genres. We started off just doing worship, but now we do, worship, liturgy, pop, rock, folk, singer-songwriter, all the things. Because for me, there's, it's all about, when I meet an artist, I love to ask them like, what are you excited about? And just listen and hear them tell me like, oh, if I could do anything, I would do X, Y, and Z. And I say, great, let's do it. And one of my favorite saints, one of my favorite quotes, Saint Irenaeus, the glory of God is man fully alive. And that is what has just fueled everything that we do. Because for me, I know when I'm doing music and it's something I love, I can feel my soul just not floating out of my body. That's heretical, but my whole spirit is lifted.
There's a levity.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I crave that for everyone else. And so all the creatives I meet, and really anyone, like if I meet a person who has a business idea and that excites them, I'm like, yes, let's go. Let's what can I do to help? Or like even just being that cheerleader and trying to encourage that, And so anyways, so yeah, I've been in the music industry for, like I said, over a decade, hundreds of releases to our name. And it's just, I don't know, it's the greatest joy. Music is the greatest feeling on earth. So I've just, it's been a huge blessing to be able to apply, again, business acumen, professionalism, to be able to serve artists. And I tell artists all the time, this is why we exist. A lot of them I'll say, hey, this is the terms of like a publishing deal or record deal. And I'll get kind of some pushback in a good way of like, well, why does the label take a percentage? Why does the publisher take a percentage? And I say, oh, well, here, let me explain everything that we do for you. And I also say, and this is for anyone listening, you can find me and ask me, if you want to start a label, if you want to start a publishing company, I will tell you how to do it. I have nothing to hide. But 9 times out of 9, when I say that to people, they're like, oh, yeah, you can just.
It's a lot of work.
You can do that for me, you know. And I actually love doing it. So there's a unique, I guess, thing there that I love spreadsheets. I love contracts. In fact, I didn't say this before AI. When I started that first project back in 2013, I bought a book titled Music Contract Library, and I read it cover to cover. You know, there was no chat GPT like create this contract for me. It was, you could have asked Will GPT to do it, but no, I soaked up everything I could to really understand. And then even with our label, because I learned the industry, we said, you know, we're going to flip it on its head. Like, because a lot of labels will own a huge percentage of the intellectual property, and we're like, let's flip it. We'll own like less than half. We'll own 10, 20, 10%, whatever we think is fair, depending on level of investment, but also just what should be fair in general. And so, you know, trying to use our faith to say, hey, there's a lot of dignity in work. There's a lot of dignity in art, in the artist. How can we serve them well through this industry that traditionally, Google any like horror stories of like an artist getting, you know, screwed over by a label or whatever. Yeah, right? Exactly. Like we're trying to apply like our Catholic principles to like, how do we do this in an industry that has a lot of corruption? And then aside from that, how do we make sure also, you know, sadly, I feel like art has really cheapened these days. A label today is going to look for someone with the most TikTok followers because they have an audience, and they'll sell tickets if they put on a concert. They'll get streams if they put out a song. Is it good? I don't know. I'm not the one to say because I'm not really on TikTok, but I do know that art is suffering because of that. And so a primary mission for us with the label is like, we want to make good, wholesome, actual art.
Yeah.
And give the artist that freedom to do it without worrying about, A, do I have enough money to afford it? But then B, you know, no pressure from the label to make that return.
Right.
We don't care about the bottom line because it's not my full-time thing, so I don't have to worry about the bottom line. But also, more importantly, you know, God isn't going to ask me when I'm, you know, hopefully going to heaven, and, you know, he's not going to say, hey, did you get that artist 1 million streams on Spotify? He's going to say, hey, did you help them live the glory of me by them being fully alive and serving them well and caring about them more than you? And that's what I have to answer to. And that's my every day. That's all I'm thinking about is how do I serve creators well?
That's beautiful. Because I mean, when you talk about what brings you to life, what gives you that sort of levity, and what you're good at, right? And then there's a moment where sometimes, I mean, my own experience, you may have a sense of what that is, what I'm good at, what God's calling me to in those briefest of moments when we get a little tiny indication of light, this tiny little spotlight that tells us go there, right? But then I think we get those more often than we actually act on them.
Yeah.
Right? And there's that moment where it seems like you felt both of those things, and then you said, okay, God, and you stepped out, right? And you formed the label, and you read what sounds like an incredibly boring book to me from cover to cover because you wanted to become an expert in it, because you desired that professionalism in the space where you were working, right? Which is amazing. But I think that's stepping out, right? To have the confidence to say, okay, Lord, I sense you want me, I perceive you want me to go this way.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try it, right?
Yeah.
And now you're able to treat these artists with such dignity, and I think I would imagine be a witness to them in some ways, that you can love what you do and work with people that are going to respect what you've created.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm curious, how do you see our Catholic faith and kind of creativity, the artist's world? How do those intersect, like not at the business level, right? But at the individual level, like how does that inform, or how can it inform how should it inform an artist's work?
Yeah.
No reason to, not get to the punchline here.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone should Google, JP2's letter to artists. I mean, we're called to create, right? Like it is stitched in us. Creation is all around us. I'm a huge fan of theology of the body, and Dr. Christopher West in a lot of his talks is always like, go outside and take a deep breath, and you just smelt, what you just took in was a bunch of pollen. And what does pollen do? It fertilizes, it creates life. Like life is teeming, creation is teeming. And for us as humans, it's also teeming. Obviously we're called to co-create as parents, right? As husband and wives. But for the artist to really understand who they are and experience, and let their experiences inform their art, I think is really important. I mean, I think some of the best art comes from, sadly, but not, in kind of a weird dichotomy. A lot of good art comes from pain, and a lot of pain is just that. I think ultimately the fact that we're not in heaven, right? We're longing for something we're longing for the infinite, and we are in the finite. And I think a lot of art can be, it is informed by that. And I think understanding who we are, as the image and likeness of God really helps. It just helps. I keep using the word inform, but it really does. It helps. It helps shape like who you are as a person, which then translates into your art. And I also just think like diving deep into our faith, understanding who Christ is, trying to further understand who we are in Christ and in God, it can unlock something profound with the artist, if anyone's ever read like a Michael D. O'Brien book, like Island of the World's one of the best books ever. And, that man is just so prayerful, and that just seeps into his art, right? Some of the other, obviously Sistine Chapel and, other things like that, these profound pieces of art. I don't know what Michelangelo's prayer life was, but, we assume he was obviously well-formed enough to like create these beautiful, profound, timeless pieces, right? And actually, just speaking about cathedrals in general, you ask like, what is the relationship? It's like, man, cathedrals, you go to Europe or whatever, man, they just blow your mind. And what I love about cathedrals is going in and seeing like, I love going to like some random column in the corner that has incredibly intricate like just chiseling of things. It's like no one's really going to see this or recognize this, but man, whoever was there, what was like so intentional about it. And I just think that's how God is. So now my answer is forming into like we can come to know God more. I'm just kind of realizing this, like we can come to understand God's intentionality through our own art and through through being intentional of like, I mean, guys, this is gonna sound silly, but even like creating an email or like an Excel spreadsheet, like I love making sure the borders look good around like different cells, and like I spend so much time formatting an Excel spreadsheet sometimes. I'm like, why am I doing this? But there is something profound about like a beautiful presentation. Why would the cathedrals why would they spend that much time making them look beautiful if there wasn't something transcendent about that, And so same with art. And this is why, I think it's important for an artist, a Catholic artist, to make sure they are steeped in prayer. Not that they can't produce something good without it, but you're not gonna, I promise you, if you strive to have good prayer life, your art will not get worse. Let me just say that. Like,
that is an endorsement right there, guys.
So yeah, I'm kind of all over the place with that one, but it's a great question. And I could probably talk on it for 4 hours, but.
No, I think that's great because, I mean, you're talking about your artwork is a way to grow your relationship with God.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, the church teaches us that we are called to be co-creators with God.
Yeah.
Like he desires for us to build, right?
Yes.
In whatever ways are put before us to build. We all have ways that we're building. We're all builders. We don't all have to be founders of companies, but we're all builders.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's what you're getting at. St. Jose Maria talked a lot about this, about the importance of every little detail being done for God ultimately, and not for man.
Yeah.
He talked, I mean, your column in the back of a cathedral, right, is exactly what he talked about. He used the example of the top of the cathedral in Burgos in Spain, and he would take young men up there and show them all of this detailed work and the stonework of the gargoyles and the lace work and all of this stuff, and then he would point out, no one can see this from the ground.
Yeah.
No one can see it. So they didn't do it for man, right? These tradesmen were using their hands and chiseling out this stone, and it must have, I mean, I would imagine it must have had some kind of prayer attached to it, right? Or why else would they spend so much time on it?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I'm being naive to think that, but there had to be something beautiful about the work they were doing, which must have been immensely hard, but that it was elevated beyond just finish this job.
Yeah.
Right? So how do we enter into our work that way?
Yeah. I think another good example of that is Saint Therese. I mean, she's, do little things with great love. She's literally hidden, like no one saw it,
Yeah.
And without her diaries or, her being elevated as a doctor, like I don't think we'd ever know. But to her, she wouldn't care if we knew or not, because she still did it. She had no idea what the outcome.
It wasn't for other people.
Exactly. She had no idea she'd be this famous, and if she did know, she probably would hate it.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, there's a lot of profundity in that. And again, going back to like one of the great things about YCP is it is a good funnel for understanding these, getting these touch points of these saints. Like I love that the theme of the conferences is always around a saint and diving into their life. And
we just did Saint Therese two
oh my
years
gosh,
ago.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's such a beautiful reminder. And that's just the beautiful thing about the church in general, is that there is this communion of saints and
this
people
richness,
oh gosh, so much treasure.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Well, I want to make sure we also get to talk about another really cool project you're working on.
Yes.
So tell us about FIO. How did this come to be? Where's it going next? And how can people get involved?
Okay, so everything thus far has been the foundation for what FIO is. In fact, FIO is Latin for, loosely translated, to co-create. And so to make into existence something like that. I'm not a Latin expert, so don't come at me. But but we were drawn to that name for this very reason, that like, and I said it a couple seconds ago, the church, oh my gosh, does the church have so much treasure? And so I took my technology and corporate background and then my decade plus music industry expertise, and I put it together. Or God called me to put it together to create FIO. FIO is a new platform. It's a streaming platform. We call it the Catholic alternative to Spotify and soon to be Audible. And it's a 1-for-1 replacement, right? Like go on, you can find podcasts, you can find music of all topics, of all genres. And our North Star is the creator, capital letter C creator, but then also the Catholic creator here on earth. We care so deeply, like as the CEO, like everything you've heard thus far is like, I'm pouring all of this into this platform because, I want to take good care of my artists under my label, and I want to extend that out to every other creator on the planet, literally global. And so what I mean is, we pay the highest streaming royalty for musicians. We pay a penny per stream, which is 3 times what Spotify pays. My goal is we can scale and keep increasing that royalty.
Wow.
For podcasters, we're the first and only platform to pay a just baseline streaming royalty, meaning for every 30 minutes someone listens to a show, they get a penny. No minimums, no sponsorship, no nothing. Every podcaster is monetized. Again, because we care deeply about the fact that people are putting their time and effort, in some cases money, into producing something that they love doing. It could be a podcast about beer and soccer, But and as long as the Catholic creator themselves is someone pursuing their faith, that's all we care about. Do you love the Eucharist? Do you believe in it? You're in. Are you staying within like the teachings of the church and not saying anything heretical? You're in, right? So it can be about anything. So, we have multiple genres outside of praise and worship and chant. And so you would never guess like, oh, there's like a lot of Catholic country artists, a lot of Catholic pop, EDM, rock and roll, jazz, funk, like a lot of great artists that like you would never discover because the big secular platforms are only going to push the biggest names, right?
Right.
And so it's a place for the consumer to discover things that they might love. And in fact, when you go to the browse page for podcasts, we have topic breakouts that no other platform would have. You can't go drill down quickly to theology of the body or apologetics or, motherhood. I mean, maybe you could do motherhood and apologetics or maybe motherhood, but even if you type in the word apologetics into Apple Podcasts, how do you know if it's Catholic or not,
Right.
And so, for the consumer, for the creator, and then even, for our freemium users, they're going to get hit with audio ads, but those audio ads are only reserved for Catholic businesses.
Yeah.
So
amazing.
Creating this ecosystem for Catholics to be discovered, to be treated well, because you hear a lot of horror stories about how streaming has destroyed, musicians' income, and it's just really discouraging for a lot of musicians. So we're trying to re-encourage them and say, you've got this home, we're going to take really great care of you. And then also you're not competing with the ocean of content. Like we only have like 150 artists so far versus 150 million artists on, Spotify. So you'll get discovered a lot easier. And we've had a lot of great success stories where people are finding podcasts they normally wouldn't have because they're just like, oh, let me go to a category. Let me see what's under the business category. Let me go see what's under, youth ministry and learn from other youth ministers, et cetera. And so we're cross-pollinating in that regard. We're paying people out just wages and we're trying to raise those. And then, for businesses building awareness of what they're doing, that's amazing that they wouldn't be able to target on other secular platforms.
Well, hopefully some people find this episode on Theo as well.
Well, I'm going to make sure it's promoted to the top. This episode's going to be on the banner. No.
There we go. No, I love this because it's there's so much dignity, right, and respect that you're treating artists with, and you're also building a culture of artists being able to witness to people, right? So if people are listening, maybe they're a creator, maybe they're just a listener, like what should they do, right? I mean, they should go to the VO app. Yeah. But like, especially on the creator side, like how do they get more involved and explore being on the app?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, our website is fio.fm, so FIO.fm. That's Theo with an F, not Theo, TH, FIO. Yeah, I mean, our website's got everything you need in terms of like submitting a podcast, submitting music. There's a contact form which generally goes to me, so I'll see your emails if you want to ask anything. But yeah, no, it's pretty straightforward. We love connecting with creators and we want to have that one-on-one relationship with creators. That's another value add. Like no one can get a hold of anybody at Spotify, but you can certainly get a hold of the CEO of FIO real easily. And
here's his cell phone number, by the way. We'll just...
No, but yeah, we want to have that. We just want artists to be and feel and know that they're supported. I mean, going back to the label, this is a huge reason why I've been able to attract a ton of artists is like having that community, having some sort of support. And so we want to be able to extend that again to everyone in the world. I know it's kind of overwhelming to say that, but I truly mean it. Like, I would love in 5 years to have a full-time staff of people that all they do is artist relations and supporting them, helping them. How can we help you reach more people? How can we help you thrive? How can we help you live fully alive?
That's amazing.
So, yeah.
That's amazing. So go check out FIO. Go check out their music, their podcasts, and I guess books coming soon. You said soon to be.
Yes. Audiobooks are
for Audible.
Yeah. And what's great when I say Audible, people think, oh, credits. We're actually doing more of the Spotify model, which is as long as you're a premium subscriber, you can access all the books, no credits needed.
Amazing.
It's not unlimited listening. We're going to cap the hours because we need to make sure that we can afford to pay royalties to our publishers. But yeah, you'll be able to access everything through that. And so, we've got a couple of really, speaking of Jose Maria Escrivá, we do have Scepter Publishers who has all of his works. Those are going to be our first wave of audiobooks.
Oh, awesome.
So
there you go.
Yeah, so hopefully
that's going to be great.
Yeah. So, and we've got other publishers lined up that we're trying to broker some deals, distribution with, but no, we're excited. And then we have a few other exciting features that will come after that. One of them being video, so like video podcasting and like music videos for artists. So a lot of great things kind of on the roadmap, and we're just excited. We've seen a lot of hunger for this and a good response so far for people that have found us, and and that's just been really fun for me to bridge like the creative realm with the creator space, but then also what we talked about in the beginning, like being professional, having like, run. I mean, I've never done a startup before, so it's been fun to like do that, learn. I haven't had to learn like payroll yet, but that's coming soon. And then like, like the accounting side of things, and like with my label, it's not as intense because it's just like a sole proprietorship, or whatever. But this is like an actual like Delaware C Corp, all the things, we've got investors, all that stuff. So,
and the vision's so big, right?
Yes,
that you want to build it prudently.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we actually do want it to make money. My label, I'm like, I write off a loss every year. It's fine because it's for the kingdom, right? And this is for the kingdom, but it's also, the stakes are a little higher.
Yeah.
But we're excited. So
that's so exciting. Well, I hope everyone goes and checks that out. As we round out our show here, what do you think the next generation of artists is going to share with the world? Catholic artists especially. What is this next generation gonna do entering into this world and what it's like today?
Oh man, I mean,
what do they need to do?
What do they need to do? I would say, there's a lot we all need to do. I think the biggest thing for any artist is, especially if you're Catholic, you need to be praying. I mean, that's a prescription for all of us, right? We should all strive to pray more. Definitely strive to be, I would say, compete with yourself. I mean, you probably hear this from a lot of other successful people, like, the only competitor is yourself kind of a thing. But I think like if you're an artist, like you need to be practicing, you need to be putting in the hours. You need to build good relationships. No one wants to work with a diva or someone who's egotistic. So I would say try to have some self-awareness, just being real.
That comes from prayer, right? Because and your examination of conscience. So you know where you need to grow in virtue.
But
right?
Exactly. But also trusting. Like, I mean, we could have 17 more episodes on like the way that God's provided from the provision I've seen simply because I stepped out of the boat, and I wasn't afraid to. Well, I was afraid, but I still did it. Right? I still did it.
Yeah, exactly.
And really understanding like that. If you feel that tug, so anyone that's young or old, anyone who's listening, if you feel that tug, take it to prayer, of course, but also don't be afraid because, I'm sure a lot of y'all have heard this of like, God doesn't show you gold and give you silver, right? So if you're seeing something, like you just have to trust that he's gonna deliver. And so, as a young artist, you have to become an expert in what you're doing. So you have to practice. You have to maintain good relationships. So if you're a painter trying to sell, or if you're a painter trying to get into a gallery, you got to build good relationships with whoever's running that gallery. If you're a novelist, you got to build a good relationship with an editor. If you're a carpenter, you got to build a good relationship with some distributor or just, your clientele. Some of our favorite realtors here in the DFW area, Nail and Key, like they are so good at just building good relationships and going beyond the transaction of, oh, did I help you sell your house or help you buy a house? Cool. Bye. It's like, no, they're gonna have every year they have their fall festival they hand out pies with all their clients. It's like, it's crazy. Realtor is like a one-time transaction, but they make it a lifelong thing. So outside the box, incredible. They made realty an art, and they've been creative with that. But more than anything, they've just been intentional. And so maybe maybe the punchline here for any young artist / human is just make sure you're being prayerful, make sure you're being intentional, make sure you're being authentic, and make sure you're being professional. And that is the 4 pillars of my new book coming out next year. I'm just kidding. I don't know. I'm just
on feel.
On feel. No. Yeah. So I don't know. I just think, and also find a cheerleader. That's the 5th one. Find someone who's going to walk with you, who's going to send the elevator down. And here's the thing. I hope they're panning to this camera right now. If you don't have someone, willhickl.com, that's my, will@willhickl.com, that's my email address. Email me. I have an idea. I don't know what to do. I want to do this. I don't feel like I'm support. Whatever. Like,
you're open for cheering.
I'm open to be your cheerleader, so you can't use that as an excuse anymore.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Will, for joining us for the show, for sharing more from the experience of an artist, which is a bit of a perspective we don't hear as often talked about at YCP.
Yeah.
But we know that the call to be a professional is bigger than just the call to one industry or one type of work. It's a call that all of us have to do work well, to do it for the glory of God, and to do it for love of neighbor.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Hey, you make good friends along the way. So
yeah, I love it. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And thank you guys. We'll be back with more episodes soon. I hope we'll see you at a YCP event soon, especially those in Houston, since we gave a shout out to YCP in Houston. Go check it out, ycphouston.org, or any of our 40 plus chapters across the country. We'll see you guys next time.
Oh, and also one final plug for the YCP conference. Theo has our live podcasting booth. So
there we go.
So come hear some great talks or some great live shows at YCP April 10, 11, 12.
10 through 12.
10 through 12.
Next year here in Dallas. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, another plug. But we're grateful to be there, and the podcasting booth is fun. So.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Good. Thanks, Will.
Thanks.
See you guys next time.